Welcome to Thoughtland. In this lesson we'll cover how to work out if you've got the right it, why Thoughtland is a dangerous place to be, and how to get skin in the game and get data over opinion. So how do you know you've got the right it? Well, the first thing is that you don't ask your customers because they lie to you, and that's a strong statement. But when we talk about asking the customer for their opinion, that's not reliable data, because they're giving us an answer based on what they think we want to hear. We ask them, would you buy or use this product? And they say yes. But would they really? How do we know? Well, let's figure out how we know. What happens when ideas and opinions come together is you enter this wonderful place called Thoughtland. Now, we've all been there. Whether you're talking with colleagues or friends or at work or socially, and you come up with these wonderful ideas and they're all flying around, you feel all excited and there's great energy with all these ideas and opinions floating around. You just want to stay there forever. So welcome to Thoughtland. Now, two things happen in Thoughtland. We get the false positive and the false negative. An example of the false positive is the famous or infamous Juicero. So in 2013, someone came up with a wonderful idea in the Thoughtland region of Silicon Valley for this magical device that solves a massive problem in the world. Or maybe it's a problem for some people, which is, how do I get cold pressed juice in the morning? Now, for the low price of $699 and some special sachets, you could solve this problem. So they went to some meetings and pitched these ideas to a bunch of people, and everyone said, we love this and we want cold pressed juice. Let's absolutely make one. And they went to Kleiner Perkins and Google, who gave them $118.5 million to make this thing, which just proves that it doesn't matter who you are, you can get false positives even from really smart, well-resourced people. Anyway, it was a failure. They launched it in 2017 and people worked out really quickly that you could just open the sachet and squeeze out the juice into your cup and you were done. So that's an extreme example, but it shows what can happen when you rely on opinions and guesswork to decide which ideas to build. At the other end of the spectrum is the false negative. In 2006, there was someone going around and saying, hey, instead of sending texts in 160 characters, imagine if we could send 140 characters on the internet. And everyone was saying it was the dumbest idea they'd ever heard. And that's what we now know as Twitter, which is now the real-time breaking news system on the planet and has a super high valuation. So it sounded like a really silly idea. And it doesn't matter whether you love or hate Twitter. The market engages with it and the data says it's valuable, no matter what your opinion is. So given this environment of false positives and false negatives, how do we get out of Thoughtland and use pretotyping to find the right it? The way we do this is we get data, not opinion. So what is data? Data is information that is trying to definitively answer the question, will they come if we make this thing? Will people use our solution to the problem in a practical way that's worthwhile, that solves it well for them? Data has a few attributes, which we call skin in the game. Skin in the game is when someone is giving you a little bit more than they usually would, and there's some effort involved. So it can be commitment or money or time or attention or some bit of information. Even an email address, which you've given away when you sign up for something many times, I'm sure, is data, because you're giving away a little bit of something that's valuable to you. Now, there are two types of data, and this is the crux of what we measure in pretotyping. We have OPD and we have YODA. OPD stands for other people's data, and other people's data is a great source of ideas, but a poor source of validation that your idea is the right it, because other people's data comes from their context, their environment, their customers, and their business model. Often we see that both early stage companies and large enterprises look at something happening in a different market or a different country or different region and go, it worked there, let's make one here. Or people read the financial reports of other companies and go, yep, they're nailing it in this particular thing. You don't know that. How do you know that what you're reading is not just good marketing or positioning? And doing this is really dangerous because you're not taking into account your local context, market, and environment, which is why pretotyping helps you get away from OPD and instead move towards YODA, which stands for your own data. Your own data really means, how do you run an experiment or pretotype in order to figure out how people in your market, with your environment, with your customers in your local area engage? What are the characteristics of the local market? Now we see this at a localized level where something works in one city in a country, but takes the same product or service to a different city in the same country and doesn't work. Because people are different and people behave differently in different environments, which is why YODA is so important. So it's important to figure out really quickly and inexpensively what your customers want from you, and if the solution you put in front of them is going to make sense to them in their specific context. Instead of stumbling around with OPD in Thoughtland, we're going to focus on learning how to get YODA from your customers. In this lesson, we've learned prototyping helps you get out of Thoughtland as quickly as possible. You need skin in the game in order to get data over opinions. And your own data, YODA, is far more valuable than other people's data, which is OPD. In the next module, we'll run through 9 prototyping methods with examples, so that you can start to see how these experiments work in the real world in order to get out of Thoughtland and get YODA.